Chapter 3444. I was killed. I was instantly killed by the 10-winged angel. That 10-winged angel should have the fighting strength of a third-order universe lord. I was saved by Lingling. Why did that 10-winged angel want to kill me? He seemed to say that I have a powerful divine dragon bloodline. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne in the Dragon King Hall and mumbled. He was instantly killed and lost all consciousness. Fortunately, Lingling was there to bring him back to the Dragon Palace. Otherwise, even if he could resurrect through the progenitor tree, he would still suffer heavy losses. At the very least, he would need a large amount of resources to recover. It's because I have the divine dragon bloodline. It seems like the Angel Clan has indirectly or even directly participated in the war between the sacred dragon and the ancestral dragon bloodline. Wang Xian murmured as his eyes revealed a violent murderous intent. There was a ball of anger burning in his heart. The other party did not care about innocent people. If it was the divine dragon bloodline, as long as he was not a disciple of the sacred dragon clan, he would kill him directly. In that case, the Dragon Palace was also a target to be killed. It seems like it's time for a good fight. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he clenched his fists. Suddenly, he was taken aback as he sensed something leaving his body. If he was not in the Dragon Palace, he might not have sensed it. Swish. He moved his palm and grabbed towards his back. Roar, don't kill me. We are of the same root. Why are you in such a hurry? Don't kill me. A voice suddenly sounded and stunned Wang Xian. This is? A giant space beast. He was taken aback. He waved his arm and a palm-sized tentacle appeared in front of him. There was a small head on the tentacle and it was very strange. Based on his senses, the energy contained in this giant space beast was only at the pinnacle universe supremacy realm. Although the energy was still huge, it was incomparable to when she was at her peak. In addition, Wang Xian could sense a familiar energy in his body. Water Lotus. His eyes shone as he recalled Archangel Gabriel's angry roar and the search of the million-strong angel legion. I did not expect a giant space beast to be in such a pathetic state. Also, I am not of the same root as you. Wang Xian stared at her and said with a smile. It's more or less the same. I was heavily injured by that birdman from the Angel Clan, and you were also almost killed by that birdman from the Angel Clan. We're all the same. The giant star beast said to him. This logic seems to be correct. Hee, it's all thanks to me that you could escape. How are you going to repay me? Wang Xian smiled and said to her. Thank you, little brother with the divine dragon bloodline. When I recover my strength, I will protect you in the future. I will help you take revenge on the angel race. I will secretly kill their race and kill them all. The star behemoth said viciously, I don't know how long it will take for you to recover your strength. Hurry up, give me the 2 petals of the 12th stage water lotus in your body. Wang Xian pinched her body and said, No way, I can instantly recover to the second-order universe sovereign realm after consuming this petal. I can't give it to you. A panicked look appeared on the star behemoth's face as it hastily roared. You have to do it even if you can't. I'm your savior. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have been able to escape. You have to repay your savior. Hurry up. Wang Xian said forcefully. The 2 petals of the 12th stage water lotus were definitely priceless. In fact, Wang Xian could even make a breakthrough after consuming them. He naturally had to get his hands on such a treasure. As for what the star behemoth said, Wang Xian didn't even care. By the time she recovered, he might even have the strength of a 4th-order universe sovereign. No way. Brat, give me enough resources to recover now. I will definitely protect you in the future. In this universe, other than those pinnacle races, no one will dare to offend you. The star behemoth roared immediately. If you don't give it to me, I can only do it myself, Wang Xian said plainly. With a wave of his palm, the petals of the water lotus drilled out of her body gradually. No, you despicable brat. Do you know what you are doing? I'm a giant star beast water tentacle. You are courting death. The giant star beast water tentacle king screamed miserably. I'll kill you if you continue talking nonsense, Wang Xian said plainly. Wang Xian said plainly. 2 flower petals that contained boundless energy appeared before him. Looking at the water lotus, Wang Xian's eyes were burning with passion. Although he was killed this time, the reward was totally worth it. Should I devour it directly or let it fuse with the 9th stage water lotus? Wang Xian was hesitant as he pondered. If he devoured it directly, his strength would increase immediately. This would allow him to improve tremendously. He wouldn't dare to say that he could improve by 2 levels, but he should be able to get close to it. However, it would be a waste to devour it directly. After all, such a treasure was extremely rare. It could only be found by chance. Forget it, I'll leave it here. I can get the resources to improve myself from other places. Wang Xian murmured. With a wave of his hand, the 2 petals flew towards the progenitor tree. At the side, the giant star beast water tentacle king noticed the progenitor tree. When it saw the petals of the 12th stage water lotus landing on the progenitor tree, it widened its eyes instantly. This is impossible. This is impossible. The sapling of the Heaven Yuan Fortune Divine Tree. How is this possible? It widened its 3 eyes and roared in disbelief. The Heaven Yuan Fortune Divine Tree was a treasure that no ordinary living being could obtain. To it, Wang Xian was just a kid. To think that a kid's god nation would possess such a heaven-defying treasure. Nothing is impossible. Water Tentacle King, what do you think I should do to you? He smiled and stared at the Water Tentacle King with flickering eyes. I'm willing to submit. Big brother, I'm willing to submit to you. I'm willing to submit to you. However, to Wang Xian's surprise, the giant star beast laid down before him and submitted. This stunned him slightly. Where's this guy's integrity? However, he had some guesses. The main reason why the Water Tentacle King submitted to him was because of the progenitor tree. Otherwise, she wouldn't have submitted so easily even if her strength had been greatly reduced. If you want to submit, devour this drop of blood essence. Wang Xian naturally wouldn't reject a giant star beast that had the potential to become a universe lord. She was only severely injured now. As long as she had sufficient strength, she would be able to recover completely. It wasn't easy to break through to the universe lord realm. Even the pinnacle races would find it extremely difficult to break through. For example, the ancestral dragon leader hadn't been able to break through. Chapter 3445. Greetings, Dragon King. The Dragon King will definitely be able to soar through the 9 heavens in the future and rebuild the divine dragon's glory, standing at the pinnacle of the universe. The Water Tentacle King submitted. As an old fellow who had lived for who knew how many years, she understood the situation in front of her. At the same time, he also understood what a divine tree of the heavenly Yuan fortune level represented. It was rumored that in the universe, each attribute could only give birth to 1 heavenly Yuan creation. In other words, the nature of the heavenly Yuan creation in the universe was different. As long as there was a water elemental treasure, there wouldn't be a second water elemental treasure in the universe. Although it was only a rumor, the possibility was very high. Because in the universe, there were less than 3 known heavenly Yuan fortunes. The Water Tentacle King had lived for a very long time, but it had never seen a divine essence creation grade treasure. Now they actually met here. On top of that, she was severely injured, so it would probably take a long time for her to recover. Submitting to the Dragon King might be of great benefit to her. Of course, part of the reason was that if he didn't submit, he might be killed. Wang Xian looked at the Water Tentacle King speechlessly. It was a void beast at the universe ruler realm after all, yet it was so good at licking. It was as thick as Yamada no Orochi and Masha. There's vitality fluid over there. You should recover first. Wang Xian said to her. Vitality liquid? The life fluid of the elves? The Water Tentacle King paused for a moment, and then flew over with a smile. Moonlight Bay of the Ancient Pond. Wow, Dragon King, you're really awesome. You even have such a treasure. But Dragon King, since you already have an accompanying spirit, there's no need for me to make such a fuss. The Water Tentacle King's figure flashed, directly entering the ancient pond's moon bay. He had absorbed all the vitality liquid he had accumulated in the past few years. Roar, roar, I'm about to recover the strength of a first-order universe ruler. She let out a low roar, her face revealing a look of excitement. Wang Xian swept a glance at her and his eyes flickered. This water tentacle king would be a capable assistant for a long time to come. Her bloodline and physique were no weaker than the peak races. When I recover to my peak, I will definitely make the angel race pay 100 times the price. The water tentacle king continued to roar. Angel race. Wang Xian nodded, his eyes filled with murderous intent. However, seeking revenge on the angel clan was simply courting death. With his current strength, any 10-winged angel from the angel clan could destroy the dragon palace. Not to mention meeting those archangels. The current dragon palace was not even a match for the angel clan's subsidiary clans. I can forget about taking revenge on the angel race for now. However, this lesson has taught me that I have to increase my strength as quickly as possible. Wang Xian murmured as his eyes were filled with eeriness. The fastest way for the dragon palace to improve its strength was through war. By killing enemies, one could obtain resources. The dragon palace was going to intervene in the war between the sacred dragon and the ancestral dragon bloodline. Wang Xian closed his eyes slightly. The current sacred dragon bloodline, a subsidiary race of the angel race, was not something that the dragon palace could contend with. But he could start with the 100 Cities Alliance. He already knew that the 4 cities of the 100 Cities Alliance had participated in the war. Moreover, the Orochi and the others had already infiltrated the interior of the 4 cities. After a few years, other than the movements of the Universe Lord level experts, everything else was under the control of the Dragon Palace. The Sacred Dragon bloodline is the lackey of the Angel Clan, and some of the cities of the 100 Cities Alliance are the lackeys of the Sacred Dragon bloodline. I'll start with you guys. One day, I'll slaughter my way into the Angel Clan. Wang Xian murmured. He took out the Universe AI and immediately contacted the Orochi and the others. Dragon King, we already have all the information about Eternal Sky City, Grand Marquis City, Radiance Guardian Dragon City, and Gathering Sun City, including their secret legions. However, we don't know the whereabouts of the city lords and sovereigns. The Yaki Devil Fiend quickly sent a message. In a few years, they had infiltrated the 4 cities. The Orochi and the others had even parasitized the important army commanders of the 2 cities. They had basically obtained all the information in the cities. Prime Minister Turtle, gather the spiky dragon species and ask them to return. Wang Xian immediately issued an order. Yes, Dragon King. Within the Dragon Palace, Prime Minister Turtle, who was handling some matters, immediately responded respectfully. The Spinosaurus species that had already stepped into the inner regions of the chaotic continent to train immediately returned to the Dragon Palace after receiving the news. Roving Demon received the news and returned immediately. Greetings, Dragon King. Roving Demon came to the Dragon King Palace and bowed respectfully. The current Roving Demon had the pinnacle combat strength of the universe. Other than him, the spiky dragon species had 200,000 members. Among these 200,000 members, the weakest had the combat strength of a universe lord. Among them, other than Roving Demon who was at the pinnacle, there were 2 rank 9 and 10 rank 8. There were not many high-level combat strength. After all, the spiky dragon species was just one of the many dragon species in the Dragon Palace. In less than half an hour, all 200,000 spiky dragon species had gathered. The eerie light and darkness blended together perfectly, and their bodies were filled with a cold and gloomy aura. What kind of dragon is this? Such an eerie aura. It feels even more eerie than the eerie assassins of the Nether race and the Devil race. All right, it should be the spiky dragon species. But why are there so many? The Divine Dragon race only had 1,000 spiky dragons at their peak. There are actually 200,000 of them. At the side, the knowledgeable water tentacle demon muttered, her eyes filled with shock. During the battle of the Divine Dragon race's extinction, she was already a Universe Lord level space beast. She knew a lot about the pinnacle races, including some terrifying existences of the pinnacle races. She knew about the spiky dragon species. The Divine Dragon race was an eerie and terrifying killer, wandering between light and darkness. But this tiny dragon palace, how could there be so many terrifying dragons? This was a complete toppling of her knowledge. This was a pinnacle dragon species, comparable to the pinnacle races. If she remembered correctly, the divine dragon race only had 1,000,000 pinnacle bloodline existences, and most of them were pure divine dragons. My boss is not simple, the water tentacle demon king muttered. She suddenly felt that her only advantage now was that she could recover to the universe lord level. If the dragon king matures, the divine dragon will definitely roar once more. She thought to herself. The more she understood about the dragon palace, the more shocked she was. All spiky dragon species, get ready. Next, you will be carrying out an assassination. Wang Xian's gaze swept across all the spiky dragon species as he spoke with a tinge of killing intent. Chapter 3446, Wang Wang Wang. To Wang Xian, Eternal Sky City was a quiet and harmonious city. Wang Xian had a good impression of Eternal Sky City. This place was more beautiful and peaceful. At a place in front of Tianheng City, strange figures appeared one after another. Dragon King, the Orochi has sent us all the information. Roving Demon reported to Wang Xian from the side. Wang Xian nodded. Let's go in. As he spoke, he waved his arm and all the Spinosaurus species entered the nest. Kill the lackeys of the angel race. Kill them one by one. The Aqua King laid on Wang Xian's shoulder and roared with a hideous look. All right, you have to conceal yourself well. Don't let the angel race find out. If they do, we're doomed. Wang Xian reminded the Aqua King. Don't worry, Dragon King. I, the Aqua King, am one of the strongest galactic beasts in the universe. I have my own innate ability. Even the giant Gabriel wouldn't be able to recognize me when I change my appearance. The Aqua King said confidently. That's great. Wang Xian smiled faintly. With a jerk of his body, he flew straight ahead. After successfully entering the Eternal Heaven City, a guard flew in front of him. Dragon King, please follow me. Under the lead of the venom horn dragon that was parasitizing the guardian of the Eternal Heaven City, Wang Xian headed towards the center of the city. After passing through the heavily guarded areas, Wang Xian arrived at a mansion. Dragon King. Entering the mansion, another venom horn dragon that had been living in Eternal Heaven City's body came over and bowed respectfully. Wang Xian had been setting up the 4 major cities for several years. Orochi and the rest had long penetrated deep into their territory. In Eternal Sky City, Orochi was currently living in the body of a son of the city lord. He knew most of the secrets. Dragon King, it's very safe here. We can summon our brothers from the Spinosaurus species. That venom horn dragon species member continued respectfully. All right. Wang Xian nodded. With a wave of his arm, 200,000 Spinosaurus species appeared around him. This is the information of all the army members in Eternal Sky City, including the experts in their grottos. The venom horn dragon relayed the information to each of the Spinulosa species. Wang Xian drew a devil spirit sacrificial altar and Enlai appeared. Give Enlai a portion. In terms of assassination, Dark Ardent could easily kill those weaker than him. He was even more terrifying than Spike Dragon. Since he was going to strike this time, Wang Xian was going to annihilate the entire Tianheng city. Since they had participated in the war, they had to pay the price. In the face of a race war, no one was innocent. 10 minutes later, at this moment, Wang Xian received a message from the Universe AI. The message was sent by Orochi. 10 minutes later, he would shut down the detection array of the entire Eternal Heaven City. If he wanted to recover, he would need at least half an hour. Moreover, the city lord had to personally take action. Without the detection formation, it would be even easier to assassinate spike dragons. The Eternal Sky City was very strong, but the number of universe supremacies and above was only about 300,000. 300,000 wasn't a small amount. After all, the strength of the Eternal Sky City was considered pretty good among the high-level races. Not every race had the horrifying means of improvement like the Dragon Palace. The number of universe supremacies in the Dragon Palace was huge. But thinking that an archangel could easily annihilate the Dragon Palace with a wave of his hand, Wang Xian had nothing to be proud of. The quality of experts in the Eternal Sky City was much higher than that of the Dragon Palace. Even in terms of overall strength, excluding Wang Xian's Heaven Array, Water Dragon Chief, and the other two, the entire strength of the Dragon Palace was only slightly higher than that of the Eternal Sky City. The main reason was that although the universe supremacies in the Dragon Palace had high combat strength, most of them were at the Void God Emperor realm. Universe supremacies at the rank 1 and rank 2 were more common. But the Eternal Sky City was different. According to the message sent by Orochi, they had more than 20 pinnacle universe supremacies. This was more than the Thunderlight Race, Great Thunderous Academy, and the others combined. The Dragon Palace didn't have that many pinnacle universe supremacies. I'm going to do it myself. Wang Xian smiled as he looked at the message sent by Orochi. This message was about the pinnacle universe supremacies in the Eternal Sky City. There were 20 of them. Orochi didn't know where the rest were. But this was enough. 10 minutes passed quickly. Wang Xian waved his hand and the unbeginning saint wings appeared on his back. He began to move. Based on his current speed, only the Castellan and the First Order sovereigns in the Eternal Sky City would be able to catch up to him. No one else could. Even if he was flying in the sky. In fact, no one would be able to sense him even if he were to conceal himself and the detection formation was turned off. With Orochi's precise location, he came to the nearest one. His yin-yang 5 elements dragon eyes penetrated a palace and landed on a lion demon. This was an expert in the Eternal Sky City. Pooh! In the next moment, he appeared in front of the lion demon and killed him instantly. He didn't even have time to react before he died. It could be said that he died painlessly. With a wave of his arm, Wang Xian kept the corpse and disappeared. Dragon King, I sensed a water attribute treasure. I'm going to get it. At this moment, the Water Tentacle King suddenly spoke. Don't get discovered. Wang Xian ignored her and said directly. Don't worry, Dragon King. The Water Tentacle King moved and flew away immediately. Wang Xian flapped the unbeginning saint wings and came to the second pinnacle universe supremacies. Using the same method, the other party was killed before they could even sense anything. With Wang Xian's current strength, he could even kill a First Order universe sovereign if they weren't paying attention, let alone them. There's an assassin. Just as Wang Xian killed the 15 pinnacle supremacies of the universe, a faint voice suddenly came from behind him. Have I been discovered? Wang Xian murmured. He wasn't surprised. The success rate of assassination by the Spinosaurus wasn't 100%. Some experts had powerful treasures. He didn't stop and continued on to the next target. Who dares to cause trouble in the Eternal Sky City? Courting death. An angry roar came from the front. Wang Xian saw a burly old man flying over on a cloud. Hee, just in time. Wang Xian chuckled. His figure flashed and the old man on the cloud disappeared instantly. His corpse was kept in the nest. Arg! At this time, another scream was heard. Clearly, another Spinosaurus had been discovered. It's going to end soon. Wang Xian didn't waver and continued on to the next target. Chapter 3447. Someone is assassinating the experts of Tianheng City. Someone is assassinating us. In the peaceful and quiet Tianheng City, screams and exclamations were heard. As the noise increased, someone sensed that something was amiss. They flew to the sky and shouted. This voice resounded throughout the entire Tianheng City. What's going on? Someone is assassinating the experts of Tianheng City? How is this possible? Who dares to act recklessly? This is weird. There is a battle over there. Why didn't the defensive array of Tianheng City activate? Detection array and alarm array? What's going on? Oh no, there is another battle over there. What's going on? Where are the guards of Tianheng City? Where are the Eternal Heaven City's army and the experts of the city? Along with a few screams, the residents of Tianheng City sensed that something was amiss. One by one they shouted in horror. The originally peaceful city was now in an uproar. Swish swish. Who is it? How dare you cause trouble in our Tianheng City? All the guards of Tianheng City, fly to the sky immediately. All the experts of universe supremacy level in the army fly to the sky. At this moment, a figure flew to the sky from below. He was emitting a terrifying aura. This was a pinnacle universe supremacy expert. He was also a pinnacle universe supremacy expert that Orochi did not have any information on. Swish, swish, swish. It's Sir Yao. Within Tianheng City, some experts heard the order and flew towards him. Wang Xian smiled when he heard this voice. He flapped his wings and flew towards that direction. Damn it, what's going on? Why are there so few experts in our Tianheng City? Where are the other pinnacle universe supremacies? What's with the array in the city? Lord Yao flew into the sky and looked down at the entire city. When he saw the experts of the Eternal Heaven City flying over, he started to feel nervous. The pinnacle universe supremacies did not appear and the array did not respond. This gave him a bad feeling. Boom. However, at this moment, he felt death looming over him. It's over. His heart sank and his eyes were filled with despair. Boom. A wave of destructive energy swept towards them in an instant. This terrifying energy covered a radius of 1 billion kilometers. Within Tianheng City, the experts who were flying up into the sky had all become targets at this moment. Their actions were completely suicidal. The power of annihilation swept through them, turning them into corpses. In an instant, hundreds of thousands of universe supremacies were killed. Buzz. At this moment, everyone in the entire Eternal Heaven City raised their heads and looked at this scene in shock. Hundreds of thousands of experts were actually killed in an instant. Not good. An expert has invaded our Eternal Heaven City. Run, run. Someone is attacking our Eternal Heaven City. Horrified voices rang out, and the entire Eternal Heaven City instantly fell into panic. One by one, the figures flashed and quickly escaped from this place. Who is it? Who dares to attack our Eternal Sky City? Who dares to kill our disciples? I'm going to kill you. Just at this moment, the experts of Eternal Sky City rushed over after sensing something. Their faces were filled with rage. The city lord of the Eternal Heaven City flew above the Eternal Heaven City. His face was extremely gloomy as he sensed the surroundings. He could sense that there weren't many supremacies left in the entire city. He couldn't even sense a single pinnacle universe venerable. This made him feel incredulous and fearful. How could this be possible? Such a huge incident had happened in the Eternal Heaven City, and yet he didn't sense it at the start. Swish. At this time, he felt a terrifying energy attacking him, and his face changed drastically. Buzz. A fan appeared in front of him, and he dodged to the back. Boom. But in the next moment, the terrifying energy collided with the fan, causing him to spurt out fresh blood, and his body flew backward. Not good, Tianxing. The city lord's eyes were bloodshot, and he shouted in horror. Swish, stop. Or you. Our 100 Cities Alliance won't let you off for killing our disciples. At this time, another figure flew out from a blessed place below, and attacked Wang Xian. Indeed, you're one of the people with the light mask who besieged Qing Longyue previously. Wang Xian's dragon eyes swept across this first-order universe sovereign expert, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Or you. The expert called Tianxing from the Eternal Heaven City squinted his eyes when he heard Wang Xian's words. Puma, ha Tianxing, right? You killed the ancestral dragon bloodline, and your Eternal Heaven City is the leader of the sacred dragon bloodline. You have to pay the price. Wang Xian spoke with a murderous look. With a swift move, he launched an attack at Wang Xian. At the side, the 5 Elements Great Grindstone emitted terrifying power, and attacked the city lord. You're talking nonsense. Tianxing's face changed drastically, and he retorted loudly. It doesn't matter if I'm talking nonsense or not. Anyway, you're going to die today. Wang Xian roared, and his body emitted blazing flames. The body of a true dragon allowed him to conceal his aura. Even if news of this spread, people would only guess that he was a fire attribute expert. Trying to kill me? Wishful thinking. Tianxing's face changed drastically, and a huge lightning hammer appeared in his hand. Swish. But in the next moment, he realized that Wang Xian had disappeared in front of him, and this shocked him. It's you. The familiar terrifying speed reminded him of the expert who rescued Qing Longyue. He knew this was bad. He raised his lightning hammer, and terrifying lightning pillars descended, surrounding him. TSK. Wang Xian snorted as he circled around the city lord rapidly. He wanted to see how long the other party could last. Shit, I'm already severely injured, and I haven't recovered yet. Damn it. Tianxing sensed the surroundings, and his heart sank. He moved, and without hesitation he wanted to escape. Trying to escape when you're severely injured. Wang Xian naturally saw the state of Tianxing, and his eyes were filled with disdain. Unleashing the unbeginning sacred wings to the extreme, he came to the side of Tianxing, and his arms turned into dragon claws, tearing at him. Tianxing quickly raised his lightning hammer to block, but Wang Xian had already disappeared in the next moment. It's over. He was shocked, and despair was written all over his face. A fearful scream was heard. The dragon claws pierced through Tianxing's body. Wang Xian snorted coldly, and kept his corpse into the mother nest. In the next moment he turned and attacked the city lord of Tianxing City. What? The city lord of Tianxing City was struggling to deal with the attacks of the five elements great grindstone. When he sensed what was happening, his expression changed. It's over, the city lord of Tianxing City is finished, and so is he. Chapter 34-48. The city lord of Eternal Sky City was strong and had innate spiritual treasures in his possession. But it was still insufficient in front of Wang Xian. With Wang Xian and the five elements grindstone, it would be extremely difficult for someone of the same level to escape. Unless he had the wings of the King of Angels. But obviously, they couldn't have too many of such treasures. Wang Xian's dragon claw pierced through the body of the city lord, and he revealed a cold expression. 2 first-order sovereigns of the Eternal Sky City were killed. This represented the destruction of the entire Eternal Sky City. Run, run, run. The city lord is dead. The entire Sky Heng City is finished. The entire Sky Heng City is finished. Below, those who could instantly escape back to their own divine kingdoms had all done so. Even if they couldn't escape instantly, they still flew out in terror. They were afraid that the experts above would destroy the entire city. That wasn't impossible. In the entire city, countless people flew in all directions, fleeing for their lives. Wang Xian didn't chase after them. Killing the experts of the Eternal Sky City was enough. Dragon King. At this time, the figures of roving demon Orochi flew over, and their faces were full of excitement. Dragon King, I've taken control of the blessed land of grottos. I've also ambushed and killed a few of them. Orochi said with a beaming face. Very good. How's the collection of resources in Eternal Sky City? Wang Xian revealed a smile as he asked. Everything is under control. Dragon King, war is still the best way for us to improve. The resources in Eternal Sky City are too abundant. Orochi said excitedly. The Eternal Heaven City had a lot of resources, much more than the Dragon Palace. It was enough for them to improve tremendously. It's enough for me to break through. Wang Xian needed a lot of resources to break through. Previously, when he wiped out the Great Laying Institute, he kept some of the divine herbs and elixir pills for himself. Coupled with the resources in Eternal Sky City, it was more than enough to improve his strength. However, it might be troublesome to break through again after that. But he wasn't in a hurry. This time, after wiping out Eternal Sky City and finding the Heavenly Star God country, the Dragon Palace would have 3 more first-order sovereigns. The rest of the corpses could increase the Dragon Palace's strength. War could improve the Dragon Palace rapidly. However, this kind of advancement also came with a huge risk. If the 100 Cities Alliance knew that the Dragon Palace was the culprit, the 100 Cities Alliance could annihilate the Dragon Palace before the Dragon Palace could prove that the Eternal Heaven City was involved in hunting the ancestral dragon bloodline. He had been forced to use war to increase his strength. Wang Xian wanted to carve out a path of blood and slaughter his way to the angel tribe. Command all the members to collect all the corpses and all the treasures. We'll leave Tianheng City as soon as possible. Although the teleportation array of Tianheng City had been cut off, they still had to leave this place as soon as possible to prevent any accidents. After all, they were currently facing the powerful 100 Cities Alliance. Let's move on to the next target. 2 hours later, Wang Xian and the rest left Tianheng City. He did not stop or enhance his strength. Just now, Wang Xian had received both good and bad news. The bad news was that the Water Tentacle King had devoured a large amount of resources, so it might not even have enough resources to upgrade itself. The good news was that her strength had recovered to the First Order Universe Sovereign Realm. She could be a powerful helper. Wang Xian did not linger. Instead, he headed for another city. On the surface, Grand Marquis City had 2 First Order Universe Sovereigns. Now, Demon Fiend had infiltrated their territory. According to Demonfien's information, there were only 2 experts in Grand Marquis City. One of them was confirmed to be severely injured and was recuperating in the Blessed Grotto Heaven. To prevent any accidents, Wang Xian was prepared to act swiftly to see if he could annihilate all 4 cities in one go. In that case, the Dragon Palace's strength would increase significantly. Wang Enlai was shuttling through the air at high speed, bringing Wang Xian towards Grand Marquis City. When they arrived at a city, Wang Xian entered the teleportation array and arrived at Grand Marquis City. At this moment, only 4 hours had passed since Tianheng City was annihilated. Within 4 hours, Grand Marquis City had received news of Tianheng City's annihilation. The 100 Cities Alliance had received the news the moment Tianheng City was annihilated. Tianheng City is annihilated? Was it done by the ancestral dragon bloodline? According to some information, it was done by the experts from the ancestral dragon bloodline. They assassinated a large number of experts in Tianheng City. The Tianheng City Lord and Lord Tianxing, who had been in hiding, were killed by them. However, this is still uncertain. Based on our analysis, the ancestral dragon bloodline does not have any powerful assassins. Of course, the possibility of it being the ancestral dragon bloodline is still very high. However, we cannot rule out the possibility of other forces taking advantage of the situation to frame the ancestral dragon bloodline. At this moment, within the Grand Marquis City Lord's mansion, the City Lord sat on the throne as a group of experts reported to him. The annihilation of Tianheng City was no small matter to the 100 Cities Alliance. They had to get to the bottom of this. On the surface, Tianheng City did not participate in the hunt for the ancestral dragon bloodline. The experts from the ancestral dragon bloodline could not simply kill the members of the 100 Cities Alliance. From today onwards, get all the armies and city guards to stand guard to prevent any accidents from happening. The City Lord of Grand Marquis City ordered. Below, the subordinates immediately responded. Could it be the revenge of the ancestral dragon bloodline? Could it be that the ancestral dragon bloodline found out about the attack on Azure Dragon Moon and the things we did in the dark? That shouldn't be the case. The chances of them finding out are extremely low. The City Lord of Grand Marquis City muttered to himself. At this moment, he sensed something and immediately looked down. What's going on? Someone opened the defensive array of the Blessed Heavenly Grotto. His expression changed slightly. The City Lord's mansion was located within the Blessed Heavenly Grotto. This Blessed Heavenly Grotto was a defensive type. The moment it was opened, even a second-order universe sovereign wouldn't be able to break through. However, this Blessed Heavenly Grotto's defensive array would only be opened at the last moment. Why did it suddenly open? Furthermore, there were only 5 people who knew how to open the array and could enter the Blessed Heavenly Grotto. So, at this time, the City Lord of Grand Marquis City felt a terrifying attack heading towards him. The sudden attack caused his expression to change. With a wave of his hand, a magic staff appeared in his hand. However, his speed was a little slow. Incomparably sharp claws tore through half of his body. His eyes were filled with fear as he tried to escape. However, at this moment, a tentacle pierced through his body. Instant kill. Chapter 3449. TSK, a lackey of the angels. Courting death. After killing the Grand Marquis City Lord, The Water Tentacle King revealed a look of disdain. One day I, the Water Tentacle King, will slaughter my way to the angel race and make Archangel Gabriel pay a terrible price. There's another one in the grotto heaven below. I'll kill him. With a swift move, he headed straight for the core of the grotto heavens and blessed lands below. Demon Fiend had told him everything about the entire Grand Marquis city, including every place. This made it easy for him to move around. Moreover, he had Demon Fiend as his spy. Who's there? When Wang Xian arrived at the core of the grotto heaven, a figure bathed in flames opened his eyes and picked up his staff. Sorcerer? It's you. Wang Xian recognized the figure immediately. It was the sorcerer who had besieged Azure Dragon Moon previously. The Grand Marquis City Lord was also an array sorcerer. Therefore, it was easy for Wang Xian to kill him. Sorcerers who specialized in array sorcerers were most afraid of close combat and assassination. Moreover, he had yet to fully recover from his injuries. Swoosh! The unbeginning saint wings flapped and Wang Xian appeared before him at a terrifying speed, swiping his dragon claws. It's you. The Grand Marquis City Sorcerer recognized Wang Xian as well. Last time, they had failed to take down Azure Dragon Moon, and they had almost been trapped there, all because of this terrifying guy. Wang Xian said emotionlessly, "How did you find this place?" He roared with his eyes wide open, his face filled with disbelief. The staff in his hand released a powerful defense. This was an array that had been set up in advance, just in case. A small array can't save your life. The staff blocked Wang Xian's attack, but the Aqua Tentacle King was still lying on Wang Xian's shoulder. After all, she was once a true universe dominator galactic beast. Even though she had just recovered the fighting strength of a first-order universe dominator after being severely injured, her attacking power and fighting strength weren't something an ordinary first-order universe dominator could match up to. Not even the pinnacle races. Unless the other party had several innate spiritual treasures. The wizard from Grand Ho City was easily killed by the Tentacle King. When Wang Xian and the Aqua Tentacle King worked together, no one of the same level could withstand a round of attacks. Demon Fiend, begin the operation immediately. After killing Da Ho City Lord and the rest, Wang Xian issued an order. Woo! All experts and soldiers in Grand Marquis City, head to the Castellan Mansion immediately. An urgent alarm resounded in the sky above the Grand Marquis City. All the people and disciples heard the alarm and their expressions changed drastically. They looked in the direction of the City Lord Manor and saw that the Grotto Heaven's defensive array formation had suddenly been opened. Their expressions changed drastically. What happened? Hurry to the City Lord's mansion. Did something happen? Or is it because of the destruction of the Eternal Heaven City, and the City Lord has some instructions? No. Even if it is an instruction, he shouldn't have sounded the alarm. One by one, the experts and disciples of the legions flew over. Wang Xian stood quietly at a corner of the City Lord residence, waiting for their arrival. This time, because the Great Marquis City's expert was of a higher status, it was easier to deal with. He just needed to wait here quietly. 10 minutes later, all the experts and disciples of the Grand Marquis City gathered outside. They looked at the Grotto Heaven, which was shrouded by the defensive array formation, in disbelief. Rumble. However, at this moment, a wave of horrifying energy swept towards them. The sudden attack caused all the experts in Grand Marquis City to reveal looks of terror. The City Lord and the rest are in trouble. Some pinnacle supremacies of the universe shouted frantically with fear written all over their faces. Rumble. However, the horrifying attack had already arrived. The 5 elements grindstone was suspended in the air. A long river had obliterated everything. Wang Xian looked on emotionlessly without any emotions. This bit of casualties was nothing to the experts of the divine dragon lineage who were being hunted down. The attack came and went quickly. All the elite experts of Grand Marquis City were killed. At this moment, the rest of the citizens and tourists in the city were completely dumbfounded. Everyone looked over in horror, and no experts dared to approach. Some experts felt that the atmosphere was a little strange and fled the place immediately. The entire Grand Marquis city fell into a strange atmosphere. It was only after 2 to 3 hours that someone dared to come over to investigate. No one? Why is there no one? What happened? Was there a battle just now? What's going on? The citizens who came to investigate were shocked. The array formation of the grotto heaven was still open, but there was no sign of life around the city lord's residence. It was so quiet that it was terrifying. However, compared to the huge commotion coming from the Eternal Sky City, the Grand Marquis City was much quieter. The news of the annihilation of the experts and disciples of Grand Marquis City did not spread immediately. Next, it's the Radiance Guarding Dragon City and Sun Gathering City. The city lords of these two cities are injured. Although the Venom Horn Dragon didn't receive much news, it's enough. 3 hours later, Wang Xian smiled and walked out of the teleportation array. Under the lead of a Venom Horn Dragon, he came to the top of a restaurant in Sun Gathering City. Dragon King, Chief, this is all the information I've received about Sun Gathering City. Sun Gathering City was weaker than Eternal Sky City. Now that the city lord of Sun Gathering City was injured, everything was handed over to his son. Currently, the city lord of Sun Gathering City might not know about the annihilation of Eternal Sky City. Come, let's go to the city lord's residence. Orochi, do what you did in Grand Marquis City. Gather all the armies and experts and kill them. Wang Xian said plainly. Yes, Dragon King. Orochi nodded. Wang Xian moved and flew towards the city lord's residence with Orochi. Based on the information obtained by the Venom Horn Dragon, Orochi locked onto an old man. The old man was in the main hall of the city lord and was checking the information. He didn't even sense Wang Xian's figure appearing behind him. His palm landed on the old man's head. The old man's body stiffened and Orochi immediately carried out the parasite. Dragon King, the city lord of Sun Gathering City, isn't in the city. His Cosmos God Nation isn't here. Even this body doesn't know about it. Orochi reported with a frown. It's fine if he's not here. Gather all the experts in Sun Gathering City. Wang Xian frowned slightly. The corpse of a First-Order Sovereign Realm Universe sovereign was missing. Moreover, he would receive fewer treasures. However, Wang Xian wasn't too concerned about it. The operation this time was very successful. Yes, Dragon King. Yamada no, Orochi nodded. Just like Demon Fiend, he summoned all the experts from all the legions. This gathering wasn't urgent. An hour later, all the elites in Sun Gathering City would gather. Chapter 3450, Boom. When the terrifying energy covered the sky in front of the city lord residence, it also announced the destruction of the entire city. What's happening over there? What's going on over at the city lord residence? What's going on with that terrifying energy? As the terrifying energy swept across, all the citizens of the city looked over in shock. Everyone was discussing. There's also a strange situation over at Grand Marquis City. Hurry up and search over there. It's the same for them. It's true. According to the citizens of Grand Marquis City, all the experts in Grand Marquis City have disappeared. They might have been killed. How is this possible? Let's go and take a look. Due to the precedent of Grand Marquis City, the citizens quickly flew towards the city lord residence. When they flew over, the situation was exactly the same as in Grand Marquis City. There was a dead silence around the city lord residence. There was no sign of life and the surroundings were extremely strange. Their expressions changed drastically and they had a bad feeling about this. Swoosh. At this moment, a patch of yellow sand appeared in the sky. Greetings, city lord. Seeing the appearance of the yellow sand, the surrounding people were shocked and immediately bowed respectfully. The yellow sand that filled the sky gradually condensed into a figure. This figure stared at the position of the city lord residence, and his expression kept changing. Who is it? Who killed the experts of my Sun Gathering City? Who is it? He roared ferociously, full of anger and indignation. Not long ago, he sensed that all his bloodline in Sun Gathering City had disappeared. He sensed that all the spirit tablets of his subordinates had shattered. This made him extremely frightened. What kind of power could wipe out the experts of Sun Gathering City in an instant? What exactly happened? The City Lord of Sun Gathering City immediately formed a clone with the yellow sand and rushed over. The situation in Sun Gathering City made him feel a chill in his heart. There was no trace of a fight in the surroundings. However, all the experts of Sun Gathering City had been killed. Not even their corpses were left. How did the other party do it? This caused him to feel extremely terrified. City Lord, the same thing happened in Grand Marquis City. What's going on? A citizen of Gathering Sun City said with a face full of fear. Grand Marquis City? How is this possible? The City Lord of Gathering Sun City was slightly shocked. His true body that was far away in the God Nation immediately contacted the City Lord of Great Marquis City. What shocked him was that he couldn't contact the Grand Marquis City's Castellan. He knew very well what this meant. The Grand Marquis City Lord and the others are powerful magi, but they were killed. Eternal Heaven City, Grand Marquis City, and my Gathering Sun City. The next Light Guardian Dragon will be formed. Was it done by an expert from the ancestral dragon's lineage? The City Lord of Gathering Sun City immediately thought of something and his expression changed slightly. The other party came prepared. No, I have to report this matter to the 100 Cities Alliance. I have to report this matter to the City Lord of the Radiant Dragon City. He immediately reported his conjecture and the situation here to the 100 Cities Alliance and the Light Guardian Dragon City Lord. In fact, all the experts of the 100 Cities Alliance had participated in the war between the Sacred Dragon Bloodline and the Ancestral Dragon Bloodline. It was just that some cities had already taken action, while others had not. The experts of the 100 Cities Alliance had also come to an agreement. They would act in secret as much as possible and not expose themselves. The City Lord's message quickly reached the 100 Cities Alliance and the Light Guardian Dragon City. The Light Guardian Dragon City was situated on a light mountain range. The entire mountain range was like the back of a dragon, stretching over billions of kilometers. Located in the center of the Light Guardian Dragon City, the City Lord of the Light Guardian Dragon City saw the message from the City Lord of Gathering Sun City and his expression changed drastically. How is this possible? In a day, all the experts from Eternal Heaven City, Grand Marquis City, and Gathering Sun City were wiped out. This was definitely premeditated and targeted at our 4 cities. Is it because of the previous incident that we were exposed? Damn it, how did this happen? The City Lord's expression was extremely ugly as he stood up immediately. Men, you're here, do you already know? An unfamiliar voice could be heard, causing the City Lord's body to tremble as he stared at the person in front of him. Who are you? Why did you kill us? His voice was trembling as he roared in a low voice. Eternal Heaven City and Grand Marquis City had been wiped out. These 2 cities had 2 First-Order Universe sovereigns. He knew that he was definitely not a match for this force. Because all of you deserve to die. Wang Xian entered the palace and said plainly, "Well." In the next instant, the unbeginning saint wings on his back flapped and he instantly charged towards the City Lord. Run. The City Lord did not hesitate as he turned around and ran for his life. Boom. In the next instant, the Dragon Claws and the 5 Elements Grindstone attacked him. Along with them was the Water Tentacle King. The Dragon City Lord, the Guardian of Light, had no way of fighting back in front of them. A corpse was lying on the ground. Next, Wang Xian and the Spike Dragon and Venom Horn Dragon attacked the experts of Light Guardian Dragon City. The news of what happened in Grand Marquis City had already reached here. Therefore, Wang Xian could not cover the situation of the 2 cities. However, even though it took him some time to act personally, with the teleportation array shut down, he was not worried that reinforcements would arrive in a few hours or even a dozen hours. The reinforcements from the 100 Cities Alliance would not arrive so quickly. Run! Our Light Guardian Dragon City has also been invaded by a mysterious force. An hour later, when the Spike Dragon's assassination was discovered by some experts, panic began to spread in the Light Guardian Dragon City. With what happened to the 3 major cities as an example, countless citizens fled in a frenzy. For hours later, after the heavenly array erased some traces, Wang Xian and the rest returned to the Dragon Palace. Since then, the 4 major cities had been destroyed within a day. 5 first-order sovereigns were killed without a doubt. More than 95% of the elites, core experts, and disciples in the 4 major cities had died. The 4 major cities were completely destroyed. Even if it was Gathering Sun City, how could the city governor of Gathering Sun City alone support the entire city? The 4 major cities had been destroyed in such a short period of time that many citizens who were not part of the 100 Cities Alliance did not know about it. However, the news of the 4 major cities being destroyed in a single day spread like wildfire. Those were the 4 major cities of the 100 Cities Alliance. Each city was equivalent to an advanced race. However, they were all destroyed within a day, and only the city lord of Sun Gathering City survived. How frightening was this power? Chapter 3451, The Headquarters of the 100 Cities Alliance. Although the 100 Cities Alliance was only a loose alliance, they also had their own independent nest. It was a very special location. 108 mountain peaks towered into the clouds. These mountain peaks were close to each other and were relatively close to each other. Beneath the mountains was a powerful defensive blessed grotto heaven. This blessed grotto heaven covered a total of 108 mountains. At the peak of each of the 108 peaks, there was a treasure hovering. A connate spiritual treasure. These connate spiritual treasures shone with each other, their energy linked together to form a terrifying array. What kind of power was this array formed by 108 connate spiritual treasures? Coupled with this powerful defensive grotto heaven, if there was a third-order universe lord warlock guarding it, it would definitely have the power to resist a true universe lord. This was the headquarters of the 100 Cities Alliance. These connate spiritual treasures were all placed here by the various cities. At this moment, many figures were flying towards the central peak of the 108 mountain peaks. Alliance leader, something happened? Figures with powerful auras flew over and entered a cave abode. In the center of the cave abode, a figure sat in a lotus position. This figure had the head of a water dragon, a golden body, and a golden dragon tail. There were many strange patterns on his body. One look and one could guess that this was a sorcerer. In the current universe, the best choice for a sorcerer to transplant a body was the divine dragon race, followed by the space beasts that were comparable to the pinnacle races. This was because the divine dragon bloodline no longer had any powerhouses. If a sorcerer dared to transplant the body parts of a powerhouse from the Phoenix clan, the Elite clan, or any other Apex clan, they would be killed by that Apex clan. Even if he became a witch ancestor, he would still die. Hence, the corpses of pinnacle races were taboo. The divine dragon race was the best choice. The experts of Eternal Sky City, Great Marquee City, and Radiant Guardian Dragon City have all fallen. I can sense it. The leader of the 100 Cities Alliance opened his eyes and said expressionlessly, "Yes." Not only that, but Sun Gathering City as well. Although the city lord of Sun Gathering City did not die, all their experts and disciples were killed. It's a little strange and terrifying. The opponent seems to be very strong. He destroyed 4 cities in 10 hours. More than 95% of the elite disciples and experts died. An old man nodded and said with a solemn expression, "The destruction of the cities was fine for the 100 Cities Alliance, but the method of destruction and the speed at which they were destroyed shocked them. The Eternal Heaven City, the Gathering Sun City, the Light Guarding Dragon City, and the Grand Marquee City had worked together a few years ago. The last time they tried to kill an Azure Dragon of the ancestral dragon lineage, they failed and were saved by an expert who suddenly appeared. We suspect that they were exposed then. An expert with the head of a beast and the body of a human analyzed. The other party has clearly planned this for a long time and came prepared. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to destroy 4 cities in a day. Take this and go investigate." The Alliance leader waved his hand, and a water mirror appeared in his hand, which floated towards them. "Find out who did it." "Yes, Alliance Master. If it's the ancestral dragon's bloodline, then an old man's eyes flickered. "If it's the ancestral dragon's bloodline, We'll pretend that we haven't found the culprit. If it's not, we'll destroy it." The leader of the 100-City Alliance said indifferently. The rest of them nodded slightly. The 100-City Alliance also didn't want to be enemies with the ancestral dragon's bloodline. It was because they didn't dare to fall out with the ancestral dragon's bloodline. They could just act in the dark. They were also afraid that the ancestral dragon's bloodline would be driven to desperation and drag them down with them. The group moved and disappeared rapidly. The leader of the 100-City Alliance was still sitting there with his legs crossed, motionless. "Dragon King, we've reaped a bountiful harvest this time. War is still the fastest way to get resources." At the same time, Yamada Devilish and the rest spoke excitedly in the Dragon Palace. "It's fast, but the risk is too great." Wang Xian shook his head and said, "Moreover, this is under the circumstances where you guys have been planning for a few years. If Venom Horn Dragon hadn't been planning for a few years, this operation wouldn't have gone so smoothly. Putting everything else aside, once the battle started, the entire city would be on alert. At that time, it would be difficult to even kill half of the other party's experts. Dragon King, we have to be careful. Although I've erased the traces of our battle, if the 100-City Alliance has any powerful sorcerers or treasures, they might still be able to find us." Tianjin said from the side. "That's right. The 100-City Alliance is very strong. Even in the inner continents, they are a relatively strong presence. There's a high chance that they will be able to trace us here." Wang Xian nodded in agreement. However, he wasn't too concerned. The 100-City Alliance was strong, but the Dragon Palace wasn't without trump cards. The corpses and resources we've obtained this time are mainly used to upgrade the Spiky Dragon and Venom Horn Dragon species. Let's increase the strength of both of you first. Wang Xian instructed. "Yes." Yamada Devilish and Ao Yao immediately responded. "Upgrade them now." He waved his hand and looked to the front. "Prime Minister Turtle?" "Yes, Your Majesty." Prime Minister Turtle immediately responded. "Send someone to guard the surroundings. Be careful." Wang Xian instructed. "Yes." Prime Minister Turtle immediately responded and gave the order. Wang Xian waved his arm and a large number of treasures appeared in the Dragon King Hall. Dragon King, there are many water-attributed treasures. Can you give them to me? TSK, they can help me recover a lot." The Aqua Tentacle King's eyes lit up when she saw the water-attributed treasures. Water-attributed divine fruits and divine herbs are fine, but not treasures. Wang Xian said plainly. How many treasures were there in the 4 major cities? They were terrifying. There were 15 innate spiritual treasures alone. Most of them were of the 5 elements and 3 of them were of the light element. The only ones that weren't of use were 2 of the wind element and 1 of the thunder element. These treasures could upgrade the 5 elements grindstone and the yin-yang dragon coil without any problems. All right. The Aqua Tentacle King felt helpless when she heard Wang Xian. Dragon King, I can sense a very powerful treasure here. Suddenly, the Aqua Tentacle King sensed something and flew towards a black bottle. Wang Xian was taken aback when he heard her and looked over immediately. For the Aqua Tentacle King to say that it was a treasure, it definitely wasn't simple. It was at least above the innate spiritual treasure level. Chapter 3452. TSK, I didn't expect the 4 cities to have something like this. How strange. The Water Tentacle King came to the black bottle, her eyes shining. She flipped through it, studying the patterns on it. Then she used her tentacle to open it. Wang. The black bottle was opened, and a phantom floated out. It was a child. The child's body was gray, and he had a pair of fangs and blood-red eyes. The most shocking thing was that there were a few blood-red eyes on his forehead and stomach. This child gave off a very uncomfortable feeling. Ha ha ha. The child had no physical body. When he came out, he let out a sinister sound. He stared at the Water Tentacle King, as though he did not know fear. What is this? Wang Xian looked at this strange child that didn't have a physical body and was shocked. This is called Dark Ghost, the ultimate battle treasure of the Dark Race, a peak race in the universe. One ghost for many lives. The Water Tentacle King answered. This is a dark ghost? Wang Xian's eyes flashed. From the inheritance of the divine dragon bloodline, he knew some information about dark ghosts. The dark race was a peak race in the universe. This race was very strange and terrifying. They had no physical body, and physical attacks had no effect on them. In other words, they were immune to physical attacks. They also had strong resistance against the darkness element. They were very sick. However, their powerful bodies and special characteristics made it even more difficult for them to cultivate, especially their attacks, which were relatively simple. And they had one similarity with the cosmic beasts. They did not have a universe god nation. Without a physical body, without a universe god nation, it meant that they had to rely on themselves. However, the reason why the dark race was a peak race in the universe was because they had an extremely powerful treasure. That was the dark ghost. Compared to the clones of the dark race, the stronger the dark ghost, the more dark ghosts there were, and the stronger they would be. However, they had the same flaw. It was also very difficult to improve the dark ghost. The dark race was the only peak race that did not get along well with each other. They were always in a civil war. This was because the fastest way for dark race experts to improve was by devouring their own kind. The strange little boy in front of him was a dark ghost. A masterless dark ghost was still very weak. There were two ways for a dark ghost to improve. One was to devour the souls of living beings, draw the dark ghost into its body, and nurture it with its darkness element. In short, raising a dark ghost was abnormally difficult. It could be said that raising a nether ghost would double the speed of a darkness attribute expert's cultivation. Furthermore, it wasn't something that could be raised by just any dark attribute expert. In short, it involved many laws and inheritances, making it extremely difficult. After all, the nether ghosts were one of the foundations of the nether race. What a pity! Nether ghosts are quite valuable in the nether race, but for others, they are basically useless. The Water Tentacle King said regretfully. Wang Xian nodded slightly. With a wave of his arm, Dark Ghost came before him. Nether Ghost was only half a meter tall, but it was somewhat sinister and terrifying. He only has the combat power of a Void God Emperor. Wang Xian shook his head and was about to keep it. Haha. Suddenly, the nether ghost floated toward the dragon throne. No, it was floating towards the progenitor tree. Wang Xian was slightly taken aback as he watched quietly. This little nether ghost flew in front of the soul-returning ancestral tree's branches, and its blood-red eyes stared at a soul-returning embryo fruit. It opened its mouth and bit it. Buzz! The soul-returning embryo fruit entered its mouth, causing its body to emit a gray energy. Wang Xian could clearly sense that nether ghost's strength had increased tremendously. This is? He narrowed his eyes and watched quietly. After eating one soul-returning embryo fruit, nether ghost continued to devour the other. When the second soul-returning embryo fruit entered its stomach, a wave of power swept through its body. It had advanced to the universe supremacy level. Dragon King, what fruit is this? How can it be absorbed by Nether Ghost and increase its strength so quickly? The Water Tentacle King asked in surprise. Wang Xian did not answer her, but watched quietly. The soul-returning embryo fruit could absorb souls, and Nether Ghost was also a soul to a certain extent. It was normal for energy of the same origin to be absorbed. Kaka. At this time, the nether ghost seemed unsatisfied with the soul-returning embryo fruit. It actually bit at the soul-returning embryo fruit branch. Wang Xian was slightly taken aback. At this moment, the soul-returning embryo fruit branch emitted a gray glow as it wrapped around him. Ah! An ear-piercing scream came from nether ghost's mouth. He was slowly wrapped up by the soul-returning embryo fruit. Then, a human-shaped soul-returning embryo fruit formed. This human shape was identical to Nether Ghost, but it had shrunk by 10 times. This, Wang Xian raised his eyebrows as he looked at this strange scene in astonishment. He flew over and touched the special soul-returning fetus fruit. A message came instantly, and Wang Xian's eyes immediately lit up. According to the message from the soul-returning embryo fruit, it could split into a Nether Ghost if it was swallowed. Dark Ghost had his own appearance, his own strength. It was an independent existence, but it also depended on itself. It was very mysterious. TSK, this is good stuff. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. If he could swallow it, it would mean that he would have a doppelganger with strength similar to his own. Of course, there was still a huge difference. The main difference was in the unbeginning sacred wings. Without the unbeginning sacred wings, Wang Xian's strength would be similar to those of the same level. But no matter what, if he could swallow it, he would have a doppelganger with the strength of a first-order universe sovereign. Strong, very strong. One had to know that it had the special characteristic of the nether race, which allowed it to ignore physical attacks. He swallowed it directly, and the special soul-returning embryo fruit instantly spread throughout his body. A special feeling came over him. He felt as though he had an additional soul, and he was connected to this soul. It was a little different from his doppelganger. With a thought, a gray figure that looked exactly like him appeared beside him. With a thought, he could easily control his own energy to connect with this person's. This is too strange. Dragon King, you can actually create a nether ghost doppelganger in an instant? Is this the horror of the heavenly origin creation realm? At the side, the Water Tentacle King's face was filled with shock when he saw this scene. It was abnormally difficult for the nether race to nurture a nether ghost, but Wang Xian had won so easily? What kind of power was this? The power of the heavenly origin creation ancestral tree. Chapter 3453. How strong was a heavenly yuan creation grade treasure? No one knew. But according to guesses, a first-order universe sovereign with a heavenly yuan creation grade treasure could easily kill an opponent 5 or 6 levels higher. Although this was just a guess, no one doubted its authenticity. There was even a saying that if one could control a heavenly yuan creation grade treasure, even an ordinary person could kill a universe sovereign. Of course, this was a hypothesis. An ordinary person could not control a heavenly yuan creation grade treasure. Dark Ghost was a spiritual object, and the soul-returning fetus fruit was a fruit of the soul-returning wood, which was a branch of the progenitor tree. It could be said that the soul-returning fetus fruit was a fruit of the progenitor tree. A heavenly yuan creation grade fruit, even if the progenitor tree had not truly reached the heavenly yuan creation grade, was still terrifying. Moreover, the Dark Ghost was wrapped by the branches of the soul-returning wood and condensed into the soul-returning fetal fruit. There was a very important reason why this Dark Ghost could reach the same level of strength as Wang Xian. Dark Ghost was still connected to the soul-returning wood. It could be said that the energy of the soul-returning wood was connected to Dark Ghost. This was because the progenitor tree and the soul-returning wood were residing in Wang Xian's body. Wang Xian's Dark Ghost doppelganger moved slightly, and a sinister black dragon head flew out from his body. This strength is comparable to an ordinary first-order universe sovereign. TSK, my strength has increased again. His face was filled with excitement. The unbeginning sacred wings and the 5 elements grindstone allowed him to fight 6 opponents of the same level. With the half-living spirit, he could fight 1 or 2 more opponents. Now, with the addition of the Dark Ghost doppelganger, he could fight even more. If the Yin-Yang Dragon Coil could improve, it would be even more insane. It was simply too powerful. Other than this treasure, are there any other treasures? Wang Xian looked at the Water Tentacle King and asked. Disregarding everything else, this fellow's senses and knowledge of treasures were much stronger than his. After all, the Water Tentacle King had lived for more than 10 billion years. He was definitely a terrifying old monster. No, it's already good enough to have a Dark Ghost. The Water Tentacle King shook his head. Next, it's time to improve my strength. Wang Xian looked at the treasures around him, and his eyes shone. He immediately transformed into a divine dragon and devoured all sorts of resources. The resources entered his mouth and were transformed into dragon energy. Time passed slowly. At the side, the Water Tentacle King widened his eyes when he saw Wang Xian devouring the treasures and the growth of his aura. What's going on? How is it possible for the energy conversion to be so fast? Even the former insect race. The Water Tentacle King looked on in shock. At the mention of the bug race, Her body shuddered a little as a guess formed in her mind. However, she didn't dare to continue guessing. If what she guessed was true, it would be too terrifying. So. Just as Wang Xian devoured a large number of treasures and the experts of Dragon Palace were raising their strength, 5 figures appeared in the sky above Tianheng City. They looked down, and their expressions were a little ugly. At this moment, the Eternal Heaven City had become an empty city. Unlike the other few cities, the Eternal Sky City, which was the first to be attacked, was assassinated by the spiky dragon species. After Wang Xian intervened, it caused panic in the city. After the panic descended, all the citizens fled in a frenzy, not daring to stay any longer. The entire Eternal Heaven City was basically intact, but there was not a single living thing. The 5 of them frowned. An old man in the middle waved his arm, and a mirror floated to the sky. The mirror gradually enlarged, and soon, a ray of light shone down. When the light shone within the city, the entire city became strangely lively. A figure formed by white light shuttled within the city. The entire city came alive. But soon, a shriek was heard, and they immediately looked towards the direction of the shriek. A figure flew out, and behind him was a blurry figure. This blurry figure seemed to have been erased by a surge of energy, and was very blurry. The other party has a sorcerer. An expert with an oval-shaped eye on his head said faintly, "There's another blurry figure here. We can piece it together." He looked to the other side and said plainly, "We can only confirm that it's a blurry figure. I'm afraid it'll be difficult to find it." The old man in the middle frowned slightly. "Send a large number of people to search, and we'll definitely be able to find some clues. Let's start with the database of the universe AI." The expert with an eye on his head said. The few of them nodded slightly. After staying there for more than 10 minutes, they left immediately. 5 days later, they appeared in Grand Marquis City. They had rushed at full speed, and even used the teleportation array for 5 days to reach here. One could imagine how vast the chaotic continent was. After checking with the mirror, they confirmed the shape of a living creature. If Wang Xian and the rest saw it, they would definitely know that the other party had captured the shape of the spiked dragon. Boom. Ding. Congratulations on leveling up to the 5th Order Universe Venerable Realm. Comprehended Law, God Tail playing with pearls. While the 100 Cities Alliance was searching for the culprit, Wang Xian had another breakthrough in his strength within the Dragon Palace. 5th Order Universe Venerable Realm, 2nd Order Universe Lord Realm. Such a terrifying ability to fight across levels was definitely number 1 in the current universe. Name, Wang Xian Race, Yin-Yang Wind Lightning 5 Elements Divine Dragon, Human Dragon Unification, Level, 5th Order Universe Venerable, 9th Transformation of Divine Dragon Transformation, Origin Source. 1%, 99% required for next breakthrough, Superpower. Dominate the marine animals, rule over marine animals that are lower than your own level, devour living creatures. Devour living creatures to extract origin source. 5 elements control cultivation technique. Divine Dragon. Transformation superpowers. Soul assimilation, spiritual attachment law of superpowers. Dragon Eye Lock, 5 elements Dragon Claw, Yin-Yang World Breaker, 8 luminaries Dragon Scale, Saint Dragon Shadow, 8 divisions of the Heavenly Dragon, Dragon Tomb, Soaring Cloud Dragon, True Dragon Body Law of Superpowers, 8 directions Dragon Pillar, 8 Dragons Clone, Towering Dragon Horn, Mighty Heavenly Dragon, God Tail playing with Pearls Law of Mastery, Metal, Wood, Water, Fire, Earth, Light, Darkness, Wind, Thunder God Nation, Dragon Palace Own Dragon Palace, Acquired Dragon Palace Members, 1964450 Phew, I've finally broken through again. Wang Xian opened his dragon eyes and revealed a smile. Sensing his strength, the smile on his face deepened. Such strength was considered very strong among the high-level races. The strongest expert of the high-level races only had the combat strength of a 3rd Order Universe Lord. He was just one step away from the peak experts of the various races. However, with his speed, even a 3rd Order Universe Lord would not be able to kill him. With a thought, a ghost dragon clone appeared beside him. After he leveled up, Dark Ghost also leveled up. It felt good. He did not need any additional energy to level up. Chapter 3454. Congratulations on your breakthrough, Dragon King. In the future, you will become the Lord of the Universe. Unifying the universe is just around the corner. The Water Tentacle King shouted respectfully after Wang Xian broke through. She stared at him passionately, her eyes filled with shock. Don't flatter me. Cultivate well and recover your strength. With a jerk, he flew towards the dragon transformation pool. If I were to slowly recover, it would take at least a few billion years. The Water Tentacle King muttered. It flew towards Wang Xian and landed on his shoulder. Within the dragonization pool, the spike dragon species and the venom horn dragon species were currently growing stronger. This time, it was mainly to increase the strength of the venom horn dragon and the spike dragon. With the 4 cities destroyed, there were a total of 71st Order sovereigns. These 70 corpses could give the Thorn Dragon and Venom Horn Dragon another 70 peak universe supremacies. This was a terrifying increase. After the upgrade, they would become abnormally terrifying existences. This time, the Dragon Palace had obtained close to 1 million corpses of universe supremacies. It was impossible for the Spiked Dragon and Venom Horn Dragon to absorb all of it, but the other dragon species would also receive a significant boost. War could make the Dragon Palace improve rapidly. After that, we can slowly nibble away at the other cities of the 100 Cities Alliance and see if they have completely become lackeys of the sacred dragon bloodline. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. He returned to the Dragon King Hall and continued to level up. Apart from the corpses, the Khanate numinous treasures he obtained could upgrade the 5 Elements Grindstone and the Yin-Yang Dragon Coil. The 5 Elements Grindstone could raise one's combat power to the Second Order Universe Sovereign Realm, while the Yin-Yang Dragon Coil could raise one's combat power to the First Order Universe Sovereign Realm. Buzz. The 5 Elements Grindstone and the Yin-Yang Dragon Board appeared before Wang Xian. He began to refine the 2 treasures. Found it. We can already lock onto the culprit who destroyed the 4 major cities. I really didn't expect it. I really didn't expect that there would be a 3rd divine dragon bloodline in the universe. Moreover, they have already grown to such an extent. At this very moment, at one of the 108 peaks of the 100 Cities Alliance, 5 experts were sitting cross-legged on top of a peak. At this moment, they received a message from their subordinates, and their eyes were filled with surprise. Let's go and report to the Alliance Master. The group of people moved and immediately flew toward the main peak in the center. Found it? The City Lord of the 100 Cities Alliance asked indifferently without opening his eyes when the 5 experts arrived. Alliance Master, we've found the culprit. The 4 cities were destroyed by the Dragon Palace. The old man in the center immediately reported, Dragon Palace? The leader of the 100 City Alliance sounded doubtful. Yes, Alliance leader. The Dragon Palace is another divine dragon bloodline in the universe. It is also the 3rd largest divine dragon bloodline in the universe after the ancestral dragon Saint Dragon bloodline. We received news that the Dragon Palace landed in the outer region of the chaotic continent over 20 years ago. As soon as they landed, they annihilated the 3 forces on the periphery. Our disciples have done countless comparisons on the universe AI. After some investigations, we can confirm that the ones who attacked the 4 cities are members of this Dragon Palace, a dragon species that specializes in assassination. The old man said in detail. As for why they wanted to annihilate Tianheng City, we have some guesses. This Dragon Palace seems to have a good relationship with an azure dragon of the ancestral dragon bloodline. Besides, it might be because their disciples were killed. The expert with a huge eye guessed. How strong is the Dragon Palace? The 100 City Alliance leader asked indifferently. Not sure. The information on the universe AI doesn't match them at all. However, I don't think there are any second-order universe sovereigns. The old man in the center guessed. Find their nest and annihilate it. The leader of the 100 Cities Alliance slowly opened his eyes and said, We have already located their nest. Alliance leader, I feel that we should send more experts over. The old man in the center said, Inform some cities to send out 8 second-order universe sovereigns and 15 first-order universe sovereigns. The 100-City Alliance leader's eyes flickered. Also, announce this matter. Our 100-City Alliance will be enemies with the Dragon Palace. We will annihilate them. As long as we see any Dragon Palace disciples, we will kill them all. Alliance leader, you mean that we can make use of the Dragon Palace's actions to hunt the experts of the Divine Dragon bloodline in the future? The eyes of the expert with a huge eye glowed as he spoke. Kiki, that's right. The ancestral dragon bloodline has been separated for tens of millions of years. The newly born Divine Dragon bloodline can be classified as part of the Dragon Palace. The 100-City Alliance leader revealed a faint smile. We understand. We will make our move now. The 5 experts from the 100-City Alliance nodded and left in a flash. At this moment, in the territory of the 100 Cities Alliance, the news of the destruction of the 4 cities spread like wildfire on the artificial intelligence system of the 100 Cities Alliance. Countless experts and disciples of the 100-City Alliance discussed and guessed. Some guessed that it was the ancestral dragon bloodline. Currently, the ancestral dragon bloodline had the biggest motive. This caused the 100-City Alliance's disciples and citizens to panic. Was the 100-City Alliance really going to become enemies with the ancestral dragon bloodline? This wasn't good news for them. The ancestral dragon bloodline was much stronger than them. If they really angered the ancestral dragon bloodline, no city would be able to stop them if they descended. The surrounding regions of the 100-City Alliance were also in heated discussions. Currently, the war between the ancestral dragon bloodline and the sacred dragon bloodline wasn't something that the peak-grade races paid attention to. Look, the 100-City Alliance sent out an announcement. The culprit who annihilated the 4 cities has been found. It's a faction called Dragon Palace, the 3rd largest divine dragon faction in the universe. They really sent out an announcement. It's confirmed that it was the Dragon Palace experts. Why did they attack Tianheng City? What are they trying to do? Dragon Palace? Why did the Divine Dragon bloodline suddenly appear? Why haven't I heard of it? Are they strong? Why did they attack the 4 cities? So far, the ancestral dragon bloodline experts haven't attacked the cities of the 100-City Alliance. Why did they attack? Are they seeking death? The 100-City Alliance sent out an announcement. The 4 cities were annihilated, the culprit was Dragon Palace, and they even provided all the evidence. Moreover, the 100-City Alliance emphasized in the announcement that they had no intention of participating in the war between the ancestral dragon bloodline and the sacred dragon bloodline. However, if any faction tried to take advantage of the situation, they couldn't blame them for being impolite. The 100-City Alliance declared war on Dragon Palace and was determined to annihilate it. Chapter 3455. Another force from the Divine Dragon bloodline is involved? The 100 Cities Alliance has issued a kill order to kill any Dragon Palace disciple they encounter. There's information about the Dragon Palace on the AI. It seems like the Dragon Palace is really strong in the outer region and the edge of the universe. On this day, when the 100 Cities Alliance issued the kill order and announced it on the AI, countless experts and disciples were in an uproar. A newly emerged force from the Divine Dragon bloodline piqued everyone's curiosity. When they searched for information about the Dragon Palace on the AI, they were also shocked. This Dragon Palace had a glorious record. The 100 Cities Alliance wants to become enemies with the Divine Dragon bloodline. This is getting more and more lively. It should be the 100 Cities Alliance's mission that caused the deaths of the Dragon Palace's disciples. Hence, the Dragon Palace is taking revenge on the other cities. However, since the Dragon Palace was able to annihilate 4 cities in a day and kill several First-Order sovereigns, their strength is definitely not weak. This Dragon Palace is courting death. Do they think they have the strength of the ancestral dragon bloodline? How dare they make an enemy out of our 100 Cities Alliance? Someone guessed on the AI as a disciple of the 100 Cities Alliance made a statement. In any case, the name of Dragon Palace had entered the sights of all the races and forces within the chaotic era. To be able to wipe out 4 cities in a day, they were considered to be one of the stronger races within the chaotic era. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace, Brother Wang Xian, actually destroyed the 4 cities. Why did he do that? In the deep and incomparably dense forest, towering trees reached the sky. Within a huge tree, Qin Longyue read the report from a disciple with a face filled with shock. Brother Qin Longyue, this dragon palace is the brother who saved you? An expert from our divine dragon bloodline? Around him, there were a dozen figures sitting on chairs. When they heard his words, a look of curiosity appeared on their faces. Now that the ancestral dragon bloodline was being hunted and attacked, many experts from the ancestral dragon bloodline had started to gather together to deal with the danger. Yes, this brother is very strong. He can easily kill First Order Universe sovereigns of the same realm. According to what I know, other than him, there are 2 other First Order Universe sovereigns in the Dragon Palace. One is a shaman, and the other is a purebred water divine dragon. This brother Wang Xian from the Dragon Palace is a nice guy. His philosophy is the same as our ancestral dragon leader. He obviously hates the sacred dragon lineage. He was also the one who told me that the Eternal Sky City was behind the attack on me. Azure Dragon Moon spoke, a puzzled look in his eyes. I wonder why he would attack the 4 great cities. Let me ask. After hesitating for a few seconds, he took out the universe AI and sent some information to Wang Xian. That brother is indeed very strong. However, after searching for a few years, we still haven't found any evidence to prove that it was the 4 cities that attacked Brother Azure Dragon. Without evidence, it would be difficult for us to exact revenge. Now that the 4 cities have been destroyed by the Dragon Palace will be in danger. They are no match for the 100 Cities Alliance. Several experts from the ancestral dragon's lineage said. Brother Wang isn't an impulsive person. He must have a plan. Azure Dragon Moon shook his head. Brother Wang Xian replied to me. He was the one who destroyed the 4 cities and told me not to worry about them. The 100 Cities Alliance has made the Dragon Palace their enemy, and the Dragon Palace will fight with them to the end. At this moment, Azure Dragon Moon received Wang Xian's message and spoke. This brother is really a ruthless person. An expert from the ancestral dragon's lineage shook his head and smiled. I hope nothing will happen to them. That old man from the 100 Cities Alliance is very strong. Azure Dragon Moon mumbled to himself with a tinge of worry in his eyes. However, the ancestral dragon's lineage was in trouble now, and he had no time to care about Wang Xian. As expected, the 100 Cities Alliance found out and issued a kill order to destroy the Dragon Palace. At the corner of the sea, after Azure Dragon Moon sent him the message, he did a search and learned that the 100 Cities Alliance had locked onto the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. Under normal circumstances, the 100 Cities Alliance will definitely send experts over to destroy the Dragon Palace. He mumbled to himself and pondered. The current Dragon Palace couldn't withstand the attacks of experts above the Universe Dominator level. With such strength, they could break through the defenses of the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace still has some trump cards when the other party attacks. I'm not afraid of them destroying the Dragon Palace. However, there's still a considerable risk. If only the Dragon Palace has a grotto heaven that can withstand the strength of a 3rd or 4th order Universe Dominator. Wang Xian mumbled. A grotto heaven defense that can withstand the destructive strength of a 3rd or 4th order Universe Dominator. Dragon King, I know a place. However, the grotto heaven defense has been activated and we can't enter. The Water Tentacle King heard him and suddenly spoke. Where is it? Wang Xian paused and looked at her. It's at the Heaven Everlasting River, where the water from the heavens falls. I can't break through the grotto heaven defense. Even if the huge Birdman were here, he wouldn't be able to break through the defense. It's a pity that we can't enter anymore. The Water Tentacle King said plainly. Below the water from the heavens? You mean the grotto heaven of the Sky Water Race? Wang Xian's eyes lit up as he asked. The Sky Water Race was the race that was defeated by the Lotus Race. They hid in the grotto heaven and were sealed by the Lotus Race. Was their grotto heaven that powerful? It should be the Sky Water Race that you mentioned. The seal on the outside is gone, but the grotto heaven defense has never been activated. Perhaps the entire race has perished inside. The Water Tentacle King said. The Dragon Palace can be moved there. Wang Xian's eyes lit up and flickered. However, he wasn't in a hurry. Although the 100 Cities Alliance was strong, Wang Xian had made some preparations since he had made his move. Currently, the Dragon Palace still had a trump card to defend against the 100 Cities Alliance. And that trump card was the Cursed Dragon. In the past few decades, the Cursed Dragon in the Dragon Palace had reached 10,000. Moreover, the strongest one had the combat strength of a 7th Order Universe Supremacy. The rest were mostly 1st or 2nd Order Universe Supremacies. The Cursed Dragon was weak in combat and could only fight one level higher. In the inner continents, this kind of talent was considered trash. However, they had the cursed body. Even if their combat strength was weak, who would dare to kill them? In the past, the God King level cursed living beings were instantly cursed to death when a universe supremacy tried to kill them. As for the Cursed Dragon in the Dragon Palace, a Universe Lord level expert, one would have to consider the price one had to pay before killing them. Perhaps the pinnacle races and terrifying experts had ways to defend against it. However, he didn't think the 100 Cities Alliance would. Chapter 3456. Unlie. Wang Xian was prepared to take a look after learning about the existence of a powerful and blessed place at the eternal river of heaven. Dragon King. Unlie teleported over and cupped his fists to Wang Xian. Head to the eternal river of heaven immediately and bring me there. Wang Xian instructed him. Yes, Dragon King. Unlie nodded and disappeared in a flash. Unlie will only need a day or two to get there. If the experts from the 100 Cities Alliance are coming to the Dragon Palace, they might need a few months. Wang Xian mumbled to himself as he continued to help the 5 Elements Grindstone and the Yin-Yang Dragon Board absorb treasures to improve. 2 days later, Enlai returned to the Dragon Palace. Let's go. Wang Xian opened his eyes. Enveloped by the dark blaze, he disappeared immediately. When they reappeared, they were already at the eternal river of heaven. Wang Xian looked around and immediately flew towards the center of the eternal river of heaven. He was fast. After dozens of hours, they arrived at the center. This was the center of the battle between the Water Tentacle King and Archangel Gabriel. That great battle had also shocked Wang Xian. Creepy inborn cardinal treasures and horrifying destructive power. There's an entrance at the bottom of the center. It's blocked and we can't get in at all. The Water Tentacle King pointed to a location and said to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded and flew over immediately. The last great battle didn't cause too many changes to the eternal river of heaven. Water continued to fall from the sky. The only difference was that the number of dire beasts around seemed to have decreased. They must have escaped to a distance. Or they might have been killed by the angels. Wang Xian came to the bottom. Under the guidance of the Water Tentacle King, he saw an entrance with a diameter of 10,000 meters. The entrance was filled with blue radiance. It was as though one would enter another world upon stepping in. Enlai, go in. Be careful. Wang Xian instructed Enlai. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded. Looking at the entrance, his figure disappeared. The Water Tentacle King pondered as Enlai disappeared. 2 seconds later, Enlai came back. Dragon King, it's dead inside. There are only some skeletons on the ground. Enlai reported to Wang Xian. Bring me in. Wang Xian nodded his head. In the next moment, Enlai led them into the interior of the blessed grotto heaven. A wave of water energy that was even more majestic than the outside world could be felt. Wang Xian took a look inside. At this moment, there were many ancient buildings in the inner area. The buildings were somewhat dilapidated. There were obvious signs of a battle. There were many corpses on the ground. Only the bones of the corpses were left. They seemed to have died a long time ago. The interior of the blessed grotto heaven was not very big, about the size of 3 or 4 dragon palaces. However, such a place was still too small for a race. It's possible that the long years of living in this small space has triggered the internal strife of the race. Wang Xian muttered to himself as he guessed. If it was any other expert, They would be driven mad after living in such a small space for a long time. The sky-water race was the same. They were squeezed here without seeing the light of day, causing internal strife. Wang Xian shook his head. After flying one round, he revealed a satisfied look. System, build the Dragon Palace. With a thought, resources flew forward one by one. A small dragon palace that was weaker than the main dragon palace was quickly built. Wang Xian smiled and entered the dragon palace directly. The dragon palace had a teleportation formation. However, in this enclosed blessed grotto heaven, the teleportation formation would be blocked. In other words, the teleportation formation could not be used. However, Enlai was still around. The demonic soul altar could ignore such rules. After setting up a demonic soul altar, Enlai brought Wang Xian back to the main dragon palace. Great. Even if the main dragon palace is in danger, it can still be transported instantly. He smiled. The dragon palace could be said to be 100% safe now. With the powerful blessed grotto heaven, the dragon palace will be qualified to go against the 100 Cities Alliance. His eyes flickered and revealed a sinister look. Let's upgrade the 5 elements grindstone and the Tai Chi dragon plate first. Wang Xian murmured. Time passed day by day. Within the mainland, the emergence of the Dragon Palace was still a hot topic. Countless disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance said that the Dragon Palace was courting death and would be annihilated by them. To this, the disciples of the other races and forces agreed tacitly. During this period of time, everything about the Dragon Palace had been dug out. The Dragon Palace might have improved rapidly with the Dragon King and other experts, but the 100 Cities Alliance was stronger. It was so strong that even the ancestral dragon bloodline had to be wary of the 100 Cities Alliance. The 100 Cities Alliance had given the order to kill. The Dragon Palace was probably doomed. In the sea of the mountains and seas, 23 terrifying figures stood quietly on the back of a wild beast. This was a wild beast that resembled a sharp sword. Its body was flat and its wings were razor-sharp. Its head and mouth were flat and sharp as well. The entire wild beast exuded a terrifying aura of a sharp blade. Gold and green light surrounded it, and its speed was abnormally terrifying. This was a wild beast with the combat strength of a second-order universe sovereign. Golden Fengshi was the name of the wild beast. It had a unique name, but it was a terrifying existence. 23 powerful figures stood on top of it. They traversed above the sea. Some seagulls had not sensed them, so they flew over directly. Phew, the 5 elements grindstone and the Tai Chi dragon plate have finally been upgraded. 1.5 months later, within the Dragon Palace. Seeing that the 2 treasures had been upgraded, Wang Xian revealed a smile. The 5 elements grindstone and Wang Xian's strength were about the same. The Tai Chi dragon plate was still 1 realm lower. He took out the universe AI and searched for some news. Looking at the discussions within the continent and the comments of some experts from the 100 Cities Alliance, he could not help but smile. Everything had just begun. 8 branches, Devil Fiend. He shouted, his voice reaching the ears of the 8 branches Devil Fiend. At this point, the 8 branches Devil Fiend and the rest had improved over the past month. This time, they had obtained 5 first-order universe sovereign corpses. 3 members of the Venom Horn Dragon species had reached the first-order universe sovereign level. 2 of the Spike Dragons had reached the first-order universe sovereign level. Yes, Your Majesty. Soon, they flew over and greeted Wang Xian. Get Enlai to bring you to the Dragon Palace at the Eternal Heaven River. Then, lock onto the target and invade the 100 Cities Alliance. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he ordered. Yes, Dragon King. I'll definitely complete the mission. The 8 branches Devil Fiend licked his lips, his face filled with excitement. Previously, their Venom Horn Dragon species could cause the 4 major cities to fall without any upgrades. This time, it was even easier for them. Just by relying on the Venom Horn Dragon species, they could slowly take over cities. Chapter 3457. Be careful and don't let your guard down. First, check if the 100 Cities Alliance has become the lackey of the sacred dragon bloodline. Wang Xian reminded the Yamada no Naga. Yes, Dragon King. We, the the Venom Horn Dragon, will complete the mission perfectly. The devilish Orochi guaranteed. Wang Xian trusted the devilish Orochi very much. He nodded to them. The two of them led their subordinates and started to invade the cities of the 100 Cities Alliance. In less than a year or two, they would be able to take control of a city easily. This might be a long time for Wang Xian and the rest. However, it was too fast and terrifying for the other races in the mainland. Time passed day by day. As the Dragon Palace couldn't be transported through the demonic dragon sacrificial altar, there was only one way to transfer the Dragon Palace to the Eternal Heaven River. That was to fly. It was obviously impossible to fly as they would be killed by the 100 Cities Alliance halfway. In that case, they might as well do it here. This would make the Dragon Palace safer. It's just ahead. That's where the Dragon Palace is. 3 months later, the Golden Wind Western Desolation Beast entered the border of the corner of the sea. They were just a step away from the Dragon Palace. The old man on the Golden Wind Western Desolation Beast looked at the map with terrifying killing intent in his eyes. The Dragon Palace should be able to guess that we will come. Be careful. Even if we can't kill all the disciples of the Dragon Palace, we have to destroy their nest. The expert with a huge eye on his head said coldly, "Yes, Lord I." The 15 First Order Universe Sovereigns answered immediately. In this position, the Grotto Heavens and Blessed Lands won't be very strong. Defensive Grotto Heavens and Blessed Lands won't be able to withstand our attacks. An old lady with a staff in her hand said plainly, "That's right. The Golden Wind Western Desolation Beast has entered the ocean. It's not far ahead." The old man transmitted his voice to the wild beast he was riding. Bam! When they entered the ocean, energy was transmitted to the surroundings. Reporting to the Dragon King. We sensed a powerful force flying towards our Dragon Palace. Inside the Dragon Palace, the alarms of the Dragon Palace immediately sensed a terrifying existence approaching. Wang Xian opened his eyes. Without any hesitation, he appeared above the Dragon Palace and stared ahead. His eyes flickered. He saw a wild beast the size of 1,000 meters flying towards him at a terrifying speed. There were more than 20 figures on the dire beast's body. "He's quite fast," Wang Xian murmured as his eyes flickered. At this moment, the surrounding cursed dragons roared. They were scattered all over the Dragon Palace, ready to fight at any time. Of course, their battles were purely suicidal. Is that the Dragon Palace? We've been discovered. Humph, the aura emitted by this Dragon Palace is only SOSO. I can easily destroy it. The group of experts from the 100 Cities Alliance appeared in Wang Xian's line of sight. Naturally, the Dragon Palace also appeared in their line of sight. This is their lair? The group of experts didn't bother to hide it at all. Wang Xian looked at the experts from the 100 Cities Alliance. Without any hesitation, he ordered the cursed dragon to attack. In an instant, 20 cursed dragons flapped their huge wings and attacked them directly. You dare to attack us? You are courting death. When the 100 Cities Alliance saw that the members of Dragon Palace dared to attack them directly, a cold glint flashed across their eyes. One of the Second Order Universe Sovereigns waved his arm, and a stream of water swept towards the cursed dragons. PFF. The 30 cursed dragons couldn't put up any resistance. When the stream of water passed through them, their bodies crumbled instantly. A wave of black energy disappeared in an instant. Something's not right. Not good. Suddenly, the expert known as Lord I released a blood-red glow from his single eye. His expression changed drastically as he looked towards the expert who attacked. That expert's body stiffened as well. Sensing something, he hurriedly looked down at his arm. Strange black patterns appeared on his body and spread throughout his entire body. Not good, that's a cursed creature, a cursed creature. The Second Order Universe Sovereign Expert's expression changed drastically as he screamed in fear. In the next instant, an incomparably tragic scream came from his mouth. Their bodies slowly turned black, and then they slowly turned into ashes and dispersed in the wind. In fact, within one of the 100 Cities Alliance's City Lord Manor, hundreds of thousands of figures suddenly froze as black curses spread across their bodies, killing them instantly. A second-order universe sovereign died just like that the moment he arrived at the Dragon Palace. At this time, another series of roars rang out. This time, hundreds of cursed dragons attacked them. Damn it! Why are there so many cursed beings in this Dragon Palace? The strength of these cursed beings is terrifying, and the power of the curse is even stronger. We can't kill them. The old man in the lead shouted. With a shake of his body, he formed a defensive barrier. Bang! The cursed dragons flew towards the front, but they were blocked by the barrier. They couldn't break through it at all. At this time, all the cursed dragons around the Dragon Palace roared in unison. All of them are at the Venerable Realm. We can't kill them. Lord Ai's huge eyes scanned the area with a cold gaze. I didn't expect the Dragon Palace to have such a trump card, using the cursed beings to protect their nest. The old woman's gaze swept across the area as she spoke. Dragon Palace, since you dared to destroy the 4 great cities of the 100 Cities Alliance, you are our enemy. We will definitely annihilate you. Don't think that some cursed beings can save your lives. The old man in the lead stared below as he roared with an ugly expression. He, 100 Cities Alliance, Eternal Sky City, and the other 4 cities secretly killed our disciples. Of course, I have to annihilate them. Didn't the 100 Cities Alliance not interfere in individual battles between cities? Why are you interfering now? Wang Xian stood above the Dragon Palace, his eyes flickering as he scanned the group. 8 Second-Order Universe Sovereigns. 15 First-Order Universe Sovereigns. This power could not be said to be weak. It seemed like the other party wanted to annihilate the Dragon Palace. The 4 great cities have already been destroyed by your Dragon Palace. You can slander us as you please. The old man in the lead said coldly, since you dared to destroy them, you have to pay the price. The price is destruction. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.